He rich. Goodness gracious. Well, you'd expect a recession to create hard times most everywhere. That's not always the case. As Paul Strand reports, hard times are often the best times for evangelical churches.
Throughout history, the belief has been when the going gets rough, the hardest hit often get going to church.
One economics professor found since the 1960s, in all the recessions, evangelical churches on average have grown about 50%.
Pastor Todd Lane sees that play out each week at Gateway Church in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. He says this recession has shaken many people and stolen their peace.
They're looking in the world for some kind of something to satisfy their soul, and they're only finding it really in the true source of peace, and that's in Jesus.
Gateway counted about 8,500 people coming to weekend services when the 2008 recession hit. Now that number's more than 21,000.
It's certainly been, over the last few years, quite the spike in our attendance.
But numbers growth isn't the only kind of thriving.
It's an interesting fact that economic hard times are often the best of times for evangelical churches, soaring attendance and all. Others, though, are nearly crushed. And that tests the true mettle of a congregation.
West Valley Christian Church north of Los Angeles has certainly been tested. A huge building project saddled the church with a 7-figure mortgage just as the recession hit. Senior pastor Glenn Kirby said they couldn't make ends meet as members lost jobs and homes and the church lost members.
We were losing about 4 families a week that lost their jobs. There were people that had to move out of the LA area for a cheaper place to live.
It forced painful cuts.
We laid off all of our staff from about 17 down to 4. The 4 left had to take a 10% cut and no raises since then.
Church member and realtor Cindy Bell watched one homeowner after another go down.
It's really hard to see people lose a house.
But she saw time and again those hard hit realized they had a choice.
They can move toward God or away from Him.
This congregation decided to move toward Him.
Layoffs, losing homes, losing health because of the stress and all those things. Yeah, all of it could crush us, but we have a God who is bigger than that.
Through the struggles that we have gone through, we have become stronger, and that's how we've done well.
And though many were hurting, they turned to help others.
It was economic hardship that sort of brought me to my knees.
Bianca Jacobson is one of those lifted up by the faith and strength of the congregation.
For 5 years, I was struggling in and out of work, in and out of work. People would pray with me, and it gave me a tremendous amount of faith.
And the reward followed when Bianca scored the best job she's ever had. This good news and influence have led others to radical change, like former workaholic Richard Cuellar.
I've let go of my second job. I don't work 2 jobs no more. I'm home more with my family. I'm here at church more often. And that's what the examples I saw around here.
Perhaps the biggest example came when single mom Dana Brown Thomas and her 4 sons showed up at the church. They moved out to California only to learn that their expected work fell through.
So I found myself without a job, new place, not a lot of family out here.
The church rushed to her aid.
It helped me financially, it helped emotionally.
Church people fed her job leads and references, and even Pastor Kirby jumped in.
He got me to stay focused and sat down and helped me with my resume.
Which led to a job in a local law office.
Even in our hardest times, hardest of hardest times, God has always looked out for us and provided.
While Gateway itself hasn't faced the same economic challenges, Pastor Lane says his church family, too, is more aware of the needs others may now have.
We've actually had several services where literally in the service, we give the opportunity for people in need to stand up and the people around in the service to go and meet that need.
Kirby insists such places, such people, shine in dark times, and hurting souls will be drawn to that light.
It is the greatest of opportunities and the bleakest of tragedies and struggles. And so it's a great time for catching fish. It's a great time for ministry.
Whether they prosper or they're brought low, it seems that in the best churches, hard times soften hearts. Paul Strand, CBN News, reporting from West Hills, California.